GOP measures to avert a government shutdown facing an uphill battle this week. Will they or won't they? House Speaker Kevin McCarthy already warning that stiff resistance within the party means the bill could be dead on arrival. Here with the latest on Capitol Hill, Punchbowl News co-founder Jake Sherman. Jake, handicap it for us. What is the chance that we actually get a government shutdown? What's the chance we avert one?
80% that we're going to get one, I would say, if not more. Listen, the two sides are really dug in. McCarthy has effectively no ability to maneuver here. The big problem is conservatives, Andrew, don't want to pass a short-term government funding bill to allow more time to get things done. They don't want to pass individual spending bills because they say the level is too high, the spending level, even though McCarthy has lowered it significantly. And they don't want to wrap all the individual ones together because they say that that's bad governing. So McCarthy has very little space to maneuver. And remember, I mean, this is a September 30th story. Government shuts down at the end of this month. And then they have to find a way to fund the government for the year. So I am extremely pessimistic. There's going to be some sort of deal that comes together. And to be honest with you, unlike other shutdowns we've seen back in 2013 and in 2018, 2019, there is no unifying thing that Republicans want that would get them out of a shutdown. So I'm pretty bearish, to be honest.
That's what I was going to ask. You know, once you get it, I mean, we're now watching the UAW strike. We're watching the strike out in Hollywood. I'm not saying this is a strike, but sort of. It's a negotiation, and which is to say, how are you going to actually put those two together if, in fact, there's a deal to be had?
Well, the irony is that many of them want border money and border policy and to secure the border. This is Joe Biden's, one of his biggest weaknesses right now is what's going on at the border. If they actually wanted a deal on the border to get out of a shutdown, they could get one. Now, there's only a 5-seat majority in the House of Representatives, and there's a large number of Republicans who want their way or the highway. So to the extent that they could get a border deal, it's not going to be acceptable to them. But in previous times with different kinds of legislators, there would be a border deal available to them, but they can't get out of their own way to get that done.
In terms of what McCarthy has to offer in the moment, and who will be to blame if, in fact, something like this happens, how do you see the politics of that? Yeah,
so the big thing is that the Senate Republicans, Senate Democrats, and the White House all want the same thing: a pretty clean government funding process with that adheres to the spending deal that Speaker Kevin McCarthy cut with Joe Biden back during the debt ceiling negotiations early this summer. Everybody wants that. Republicans are the only kind of leg of the stool that does not want that. So what McCarthy has privately told his lawmakers, and he's going into a meeting at 9 a.m. this morning where we anticipate he'll say something similar, is that shutting down the government gives Joe Biden the ability to look like an adult. And so McCarthy knows Republicans will get blamed. He said that. Whether they get blamed squarely or not, I guess we'll have to see, but they will get blamed. That's the politics there. What does he have to offer? Not much. He doesn't have much to offer because hanging over his head, Andrew, is the idea that they could throw him out as speaker. And that's, if he takes a wrong step, they could schedule a vote on a snap referendum on McCarthy's leadership. And once they do that, McCarthy's going to have a tough time holding on. I'm not saying he can't beat it. He probably can, but it's going to be embarrassing. And it's just, I had one Republican say to me yesterday, it's unbelievable. House Republicans are the only branch of government that's in constant existential arguments about its leadership and about its station in Washington. I think that's important to keep in mind.
How does this play in the larger presidential election? We just heard from President Trump over the weekend on Meet the Press, where he said that he would shut down the government, something he said he would not do when he was the president.
Well, he did shut down the government in 2018 and 2019, and he folded after 35 days and got nothing. So I wouldn't, if I were House Republicans, I wouldn't be paying much. I mean, easy for me to say, I wouldn't be paying much attention to Trump here. He was not a particularly effective president when it came to legislating and dealing with Congress. It's something that befuddled him throughout his entire 4 years in office. How does it play into the larger presidential race? Ron DeSantis has been kind of trying to prop up House Republicans who are opposed to McCarthy and say that they should fight. But that's easy for them to say. They're on the sidelines. And listen, if Republicans shut down the government for an extended period of time, it is bad for them. Now, how bad, I don't know politically, but it is not a good look to have the government shut down for a month. It plays into all of Joe Biden's talking points that Republicans should not be trusted at the wheel of government, and they are.
But Jake, I'm assuming that those politicians, elected politicians who are choosing to do this, believe that their constituency is going to back them in the pursuit of, cutting government costs.
Yeah, they will. They will. But and that's the problem with Congress, right? Because you have the majority of House Republicans who represent deep red districts, but then the majority makers, the people that Kevin McCarthy needs to get reelected, are 18 Republicans who sit in Joe Biden districts. And I can tell you that those districts are probably not going to support an elongated government shutdown because they sent a Republican to Washington and they voted for Joe Biden. And that's the real danger for House Republicans.